Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling confused, guilty, or unsure of what just happened, yet somehow blamed yourself? You might have just been manipulated without even realizing it. In this video, we'll uncover 8 psychological tricks manipulative people use to gain control over your emotions. Subtly. 1. Gaslighting. Gaslighting is one of the most dangerous forms of emotional manipulation. It's when someone deliberately makes you question your memory, your perception, or even your sanity. They say things like, "You're overreacting. That never happened. You always imagine things." Over time, you start to doubt your own thoughts. You become more dependent on them to define truth. That's exactly what they want: control, through confusion. Example of gaslighting: imagine you clearly remember agreeing to meet a friend at 5 p.m., but when you bring it up, they say, "No, we never made plans for today. You must be confusing me with someone else." You start doubting your memory, wondering if you really got it wrong. Later, they might say, "You're always so forgetful. I don't know how you keep messing up like this." Over time, this makes you question your own reality and rely on them to tell you what's true. 2. Love bombing. At first, it feels amazing. Constant affection, compliments, attention. But love bombing is a calculated strategy, not love. Manipulators overwhelm you with kindness to create emotional dependency. Then, just as quickly, they pull it away. You're left chasing the version of them that never really existed. Example of love bombing. Imagine someone new in your life who suddenly showers you with compliments every day, texting you sweet messages, praising everything you do, and making you feel like you're the most important person in the world. At first, it feels wonderful and uplifting. But after a while, the attention starts to fade. They stop calling as often, their compliments become rare, and you find yourself constantly trying to win back that early warmth. You realize you were never really loved, just carefully manipulated to depend on their approval. 3. Guilt tripping. "After everything I've done for you, I guess I just don't matter to you." These statements aren't emotional honesty, they're weapons. Guilt tripping makes you feel responsible for someone else's unhappiness. You end up saying yes to things you don't want just to avoid the shame. It's not your guilt, it's their manipulation. Example of guilt tripping. Imagine you're tired and don't want to go out with a friend, but they say, "After everything I've done for you, you can't even spend one evening with me." Suddenly, you feel guilty for wanting to rest. You might say yes even though you don't want to, just to avoid feeling like a bad friend. This guilt isn't about your true feelings. It's a manipulation tool to control your choices. 4. Silent treatment. Silence can be peaceful, but not when it's used as punishment. The silent treatment is emotional control through withdrawal. You're left in a vacuum, anxious and desperate for resolution. It's a tactic to make you feel like the problem, and them feel like the solution. Example of silent treatment. Imagine you had a disagreement with someone close to you. Instead of talking it through, they stop responding to your calls and messages completely. Days pass in silence, and you're left wondering what you did wrong. The silence makes you anxious and desperate to fix things, even if you don't fully understand what caused the conflict. Meanwhile, they stay silent, making you feel like the problem, and themselves like the one who has all the answers. 5. Foot in the door. This trick is subtle and easy to miss. It starts with a small, harmless request, something you'd never say no to. But then, they escalate. Another ask. Then another, until you're deep in a situation you never agreed to. Saying yes to the small things makes it harder to say no to the big ones. That's the trap, and it's designed to feel like your choice. Example of foot in the door. Imagine a coworker asks you to cover their shift for just 1 hour, something small and easy to agree to. Then, they start asking you to cover more hours, help with extra tasks, and eventually take on big projects that aren't your responsibility. Because you said yes at first, it feels harder to say no later, and before you know it, you're overwhelmed with obligations you never really agreed to. 6. Projection. Projection is when manipulative people accuse you of behaviors or feelings they are actually guilty of themselves. This tactic helps them avoid taking responsibility for their actions by shifting the focus onto you. For example, if they are being dishonest, they might say, "You're always lying." This confuses you, making it harder to trust your own judgment. Projection creates a constant state of self-doubt and keeps you defensive, so the manipulator doesn't have to face the consequences of their actions. Recognizing projection is important because it helps you see through the false accusations and understand that the problem lies with the manipulator, not with you. By refusing to accept their blame, you protect yourself from emotional harm and regain control of the situation. Triangulation. Triangulation is a manipulative tactic where the manipulator involves a third person to create conflict, jealousy, or insecurity. Instead of addressing issues directly with you, they bring someone else into the conversation or conflict to influence your emotions. For example, they might say, "Everyone else agrees with me," or badmouth you to others. This isolates you, making you feel unsupported and unsure of where you stand. Triangulation divides relationships and creates confusion, which makes it easier for the manipulator to control you. Understanding this tactic helps you avoid falling into their trap of rivalry and doubt. When you recognize triangulation, you can focus on direct communication and refuse to get drawn into the manipulator's web. 8. Playing the victim. Manipulators often play the victim to avoid responsibility and gain sympathy. They portray themselves as the ones suffering or being wronged, even when they are the cause of the problem. This tactic is designed to make you feel guilty or hesitant to confront them. For example, if you call out their bad behavior, they might respond, "After everything I've been through, how can you be so cruel?" This makes you second-guess yourself and hesitate to hold them accountable. Playing the victim distracts from their actions and shifts focus onto their feelings. Recognizing this helps you see beyond the act and maintain clear boundaries, so you don't get manipulated by guilt or pity. 9. Blame shifting. Blame shifting is when manipulators refuse responsibility and make you feel guilty for their mistakes. This tactic protects them from consequences and confuses you, undermining your confidence. Example: if a coworker misses a deadline, they might say, "If you reminded me more often, I wouldn't have forgotten." This places the fault on you even though it's their responsibility. It causes you to question your role and feel guilty, allowing them to avoid accountability and maintain control over the situation.
Conclusion.
Manipulators don't always scream. Sometimes they whisper. If any of these tactics felt familiar, you're not alone. Awareness is the first step to reclaiming your power. If you found this helpful, subscribe for more insights into the hidden layers of the mind. This is Perspectives of Mind, where psychology meets awareness.